Hello, everybody. Today, a little something different with my usual lessons. I'm going to record this impromptu, like kind of like an Instagram lesson that some other people do. Rick Beato, and not anything like that guy. But anyways, the I want to show you something. Kind of like my next level in jamming is arriving, and I want to share it with everybody. What the secret sauce is, and so here we go. I just recorded this on my other phone. My other phone is not set up with my current YouTube channel, so I have to redo it now. And so I'm gonna try to cover everything I covered in my last lesson. It's about chord tones in solos, and I have 8 million things on my mind to try to cover and say about it. So here we go. Um, Basically, when you start soloing, I would, my very first solos were just learn the pentatonic scale, and you could roll learning a whole lot of solos. Pretty cool, right? And it works. It's got a good sound, but you kind of hear some other solos sometimes from artists like Eric Johnson and this other guy that's going to come up in a couple seconds. And you hear there's so much more. There's something rapidly happening. There's so much more to it, and you wonder like, how are they doing that? And what exactly am I hearing that it's more than just pentatonics? And where do these things come from? I think I got it, and I'm going to try to explain it to you today. We'll start at a different point than I like the flow of my last lesson, but I'm gonna start with something a little different. I came up with this thought that I think makes a lot of sense. When you learn music theory and guitar fretboard theory, so you can begin to play lines all over the fretboard, even when you just know the pentatonic scale. You're learning like a very basic alphabet, and then you learn the complete alphabet. And you can play all over the fretboard. That's like learning the alphabet, where you know letters and you can say them in different octaves. Eventually, you form words. So like there, I could probably little phrases, right? But it's basically like you're saying farm, tree, branch, steering wheel, kitchen. There's you're not really at the next level where you can tell a story. So you learn words. You learn an alphabet, then you form words, then you tell a story. Level 1, level 2, level 3. So forming words is kind of where I am now. It's sometimes it's a little noodly. There isn't a story being told. Telling a story is basically having your solo really match the music. What is it's very simple to match the music. Very right now, I'm sure there could be more complexity to it, but what I found is that it's all about chord tones. That's a secret I've been trying to spit out for 5 minutes. Chord tones. Even simple triads. The secret is following the music story with chord tones. On a lot of rock songs, they're probably they're in one diatonic key. They're using a palette of pretty simple chords, and they can get away with a pretty cool solo just on pentatonics ideas. There are some solos, however, that you hear a lot more going on, and they're generally following the story being told by the music, being told by the chords in their solo by running through chord tones in their solo as those chords go by. And there's a solo out there that I wanted to learn today to really try to see this happening and to pick up a lot of ideas and to kind of learn the secret sauce of what made this solo so great. That solo is Kid Charlemagne, the Larry Carlton solo in Kid Charlemagne, the song Kid Charlemagne from Steely Dan. I'll show you it right here. Today we're jamming with Spark Amplifier, and this has been really helping me. This particular, there's a couple of them out here that show the tabs, but this one was really cool in the way that you can see the Kid Charlemagne, Steely Dan, tabs and chords, all guitars is the name of this lesson, and the Jonathan Eli, E-L-I, is the name of the channel. And the cool thing is, at the bottom of the screen, you have the chords flashing by as the riff goes by. At first, I was trying to analyze it because I learned this solo note for note years ago, and that didn't tell. I thought that would teach me something, but all I did was learn it like a parrot. I didn't know what was going on. I could just learn these licks, and I got all the way through it. I mastered it, and then I kind of forgot it. And then recently, I wanted to learn it again because I was playing some other things. Sorry. And I started thinking, hey, isn't that kind of like, these chord tone things I'm hearing in solos? And started cluing me into, I started trying to learn chord tones all over the neck, and I'll show you a couple of things I learned with that coming up in a bit. But anyways, I lost my train of thought here as messages are coming in. So now that I know a little bit more about chord tones that I've been studying lately, I know there's shapes. And now I'm like, hey, yeah, that solo did use those shapes. And I think that's what Larry's doing. That's that next level I hear in that solo. He's telling a story, the exact story of that song in the solo. That's what's making that solo so great. Here's another explanation. You'll often hear that solo described as it's like jazz rock, man. And you hear people say jazz rock, because it's not totally jazz, but it's more jazzier than a regular rock solo. So what is the jazz? What is this jazz? He's interjecting. What exactly is that? That's chord tones. See, jazz is not rock because jazz is really following chord tones. That's why rockers have a hard time understanding the jazz situation, because jazz people are concentrating on chord tones. And that's just a really big-headed way to play your guitar. It's great. It just sounds awesome if you like jazz. And rock doesn't do that so much. Rock can get away with lines and licks and cool things and arpeggios and a lot of fast playing to pretty much sort of get through the changes in almost the same way, but jazz really exemplifies the changes on just ripping through chord tones. So how that solo accomplishes the jazz rock idiom, kind of blends the two, is that in that solo in Kid Charlemagne, where applicable, where the chord transitions are easier, he uses a just simple pentatonic framework. He's either over the A minor pentatonic, even in the very beginning. Those first two licks are just that's just... It's all the pentatonic framework, nothing else. And that's all over that solo. But in the middle of that solo, he's got... A little sloppy on the licks here yet, but for example, right there, that... Oh yeah, look at that shape. Chord tones. How about this one? Chord tones. Where I did this chord tones. You'll see this one a lot. moments where he's covering chord tones, so he's jumping in between, checking out the deeper chords in that solo that are really telling the story, and then where it just has some general chords passing by quickly that can be covered by pentatonic. He's back in a rock sense of pentatonic, and that's where he gets that jazz rock solo. So then the next challenge for me is, how can I learn to do that? There must be a secret sauce to that, to doing that. And I believe it's just simply knowing where your chord tones are at any time. And there's a chance, he might not have played that exactly on the fly. There's a chance he might have heard that, listened a few times, analyzed it, looked at the chord flowing, and then thought, okay, this chord is here. Okay, this chord is there. Let me see. I think I can try this with that, this with that. And, it might have been a little bit of thinking involved. He might not just, on the fly been like, oh, yeah, here. There's a good chance he was close to that because, he's a well-versed player and he knows his stuff. But anyways, how hard is it? Is it like mastermind stuff to know that stuff? Or is there really, is he looking at it like, why the hell doesn't anybody know this? It's really not all that hard. And I just don't think anybody teaches anybody this. So anyways, trying to get more comfortable here. My leg was falling asleep. Show you this. So here is basically what I found out recently about chord tones. Basically, you really only need to know 3 shapes to know major, 3 different shapes to know minor. Well, let's make it 6 shapes because you have this group of strings, the D, G, and B, and then your G, B, E at the bottom. There's a group of shapes for each of those strings, 3 for major, 3 for minor. So there's a collection of shapes to know, but it's not that much. Here is major. That's the A chord. Then you go into this angular, which is coming from this bar chord shape. And then there's a weird, almost like an inverted D minor shape. The shape he plays a D minor chord. It's kind of upside down here. And you have this. Well, anyways, I had the melody to Star Spangled Banner come into my head. So look at how musical that is. As soon as you play it, all of a sudden melodies start popping in your head because you're doing something really musical. Now listen to this. If you just heard, if it sounded even more musical, I'll tell you exactly what the secret sauce was behind that. I played double chord tones together, and it did 2 things. There's 2 ideas I want to tell you about that. It filled up the entire fretboard. Sorry I can't get the whole fretboard in the picture here. Maybe next time I'll try a sideways camera. Then played just 2 of them next to each other. Every piece of real estate on the fretboard was used. And it sounded musical. What was that? And then there was a resolve at the end. What was that? Okay. All that was, when you play 2, that was the major chord tones and their inversions. I believe that's what, 5, 3, 1, 5, 1, 3. The 5, the 1, the 3. 5, 1, 3 of the next chord. Now this is 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. And this is going to be what is this? It's going to be the 3, 5, 1. 2 major chords together. Major chord, major chord, major chord, major chord, major chord, major chord. When you have 2 major chords together, there's only one place in the major scale that those will occur, and that is the 4th and the 5th. So you basically just told your ear 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5 in the key of E. all I need to do to resolve that is 4/5. You guys know the answer there. You've heard it in blues, the 4/5. It's blues is a something 4/5, 1/4/5. Let's just go to the 1 and hear it. You can mix and match everywhere. Here's the 1. So musical that I could do a little slide in. Because I'm hitting so many normal chord tones then it allows you to go into those outside notes and come back and add, spice up your solo without sounding like you did something wrong. So 4, 5, 1. 4, 5, 1. Alright, so you can see how musical these chord tones are, and that's kind of like the secret sauce. And just learning the 4/5/1 gives you a palette all across the neck to grab one of those chords if you need it. So you can see how Larry Carlton might have known, like when he was at the pentatonic, here covering an A minor chord. Or actually, it was E minor right there. Here's the complete lick. It went, that covered E minor, went to a fancy pants E over D, D with an E root, to an A minor. Kind of telling us a story there. That covered the... Now we got this. See how it worked? The E and A can be covered by that pentatonic, which was this. All the parts of that lick were based on that framework, but then came the... that's where this chord was here. That's all the notes, all the secret notes of that chord. The special notes are the E, the B, or what is that, the F sharp there. There's a F sharp D, F sharp A, which is the, which is basically was what this was. I included, I think there was a B in there or something like that. I don't know, I figured it out somewhere and it's written down and not in my notes right here, but that covered that. That's basically a minor 7 arpeggio of a, what's that, B, G, A, B, of a B minor chord. But a B minor 7 contains the notes of D, so it works in that moment. So if he knew that that was right there, and he knew that that chord was coming, he could have been like... He went into there and he was able to get right out. One of those notes is right back in with those. Actually, only one note was outside, and it really wasn't outside if you consider. So anyways, some pretty cool stuff there with chord tones, and that was basically the gist of the lesson today. You can write down these chord tones for yourself on graph paper like this. If I get back home, I'll make a professional lesson where I show you them all graphed out, but you can figure them out. It's like I said, it's just the graph out the A chord. Oh, and here's a trick, by the way. Take this, when you want to find, if you just are dealing with one of these, one chord. Let me see if I can get this a little bit better. Wait. If you're dealing like, let's say you got the A shape down here, just like that. You want to find the next one up the neck. Take the top note and go to its octave. The octave is the bottom note of the next shape. So that's the same with all of them, but you can make it easier by just combining them together. Play the fourth and the fifth. You can do that with any key. I can go here. Let's fuck it up. Once you put two together, the 4 and the 5, you realize that they're right next door to each other. And the next fret over is where I'm going to start the A. And the next fret over here is the bottom of the next group of chords. I'll just copy that chord a whole step up. And then the next fret over is... So it's a copy of the same... There's 3 chords. You copy them a whole step apart. The next chord is always the next fret. All the way up the fretboard. It's kind of cool. And that can help get you familiar with these. That's where I'm at now, trying to get these chord tones in my brain so that they're always available in the middle of my solos. On top of that, there's the our ways to add arpeggios into the scales, like this. Here's a scale line. Ending with a chord tone. We're ending with arpeggiated lines through the scale shapes that we went over in a couple lessons back. So hopefully you saw that. I'll leave you with those thoughts. Thank you for all my latest subscribers. I appreciate everybody out there. Hopefully the channel can grow a little bit more. We are 4 or 5 years into this channel and haven't grown more than 7 subscribers, where, you know, I'm watching people with clearly more entertaining channels and more information. Maybe not geared toward beginners, though. But they're, you know, in the 1,000,000 mark. So I think we can get to 1,000. Maybe. Anyways, all right. Thank you for watching my funky everything here. And good luck. And try to learn Kid Charlemagne. That will help you learn some chord tone, understand some adding chord tones to your solos. See ya.